What's going on, everyone? This is Dr. Mephisto, and we're here in Toronto, or to be precise, in North York, Ontario. And the guest I'm getting today, my God, he's a double, triple threat producer, rapper, musician. He's also a painter. He's from Canada, from Barbados background, and boy, I can't wait for you guys to discover him. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, support us on patreon.com. All those links are in the description below, and have fun. Let's go. Mr. Fitz.
Man.
Good?
Good, yeah, man.
Alright, let's
Good
do
to
this.
see you.
Yeah, belt, safety first.
For sure.
So, give us a quick introduction for people who don't know you.
Name's Dion Fitzgerald. I'm a artist, I would say. Painter, musician, designer, that kind of stuff.
Apparently a lot of side gigs as well.
Indeed so, indeed so.
This guy just gave me a bottle of wine and a couple of cigars that he produced. So
Indeed,
there's
yeah.
a lot of things to talk about here. But first, let's see where we're going.
Yeah,
So, yeah, just a little bit of background. Like, did you start as a painter? Did you start as a musician? Like, what's
Yeah.
the beginning of your artistic path?
You know, as a kid, I would say drawing, I was really gravitating towards it. I just never saw like a career path in it. Nobody ever guided you that way too. In school, they don't really, prepare you to be a designer or an artist.
Yeah.
But album covers and skateboards were like my inspiration. I always wanted to design them, So I was drawing a lot as a kid. Then that kind of went away. I just didn't keep practicing. There was no real encouragement to do so. I ended up doing music from I was about 16, thinking, yeah, I'm going to do this professionally. And that was my career for quite a while. Yeah. Went into painting. It just kind of happened. To be honest, I had a dream. It sounds kind of far-fetched, or a little wild, but I had a dream I was painting, and I saw myself in the dream, and I knew that when I woke up. See, I'm a person, I don't really remember my dreams.
Okay.
Too tough, So
Yeah.
that one, I woke up and I remembered it was very vivid still. And I knew from there, like, I need to try this. So I went and got a sketch pad and started drawing again, And that just kept leading. I knew I wanted to paint, I just didn't know what I was going to paint.
I see. So you started painting by yourself, or you actually went to some like education to try to like grow on this, or?
I just started by myself, really. Yeah. I have a person I consider a mentor, and when I thought I was kind of making some progress, I got with him. I showed him some of my sketches, and he took a look, and he told me he'd take me on and give me a few pointers to get me to where I wanted to go. I just had some very raw sketches at that time, but I knew I wanted to paint, so he told me he'd get me there, and he told me also he'd advance me 5 years and 6 months if I trained with him, and I took him up on that.
Wow, so you basically followed like the old education path. Master and disciples.
That's right. Yeah. And it worked out for me truly. And to be honest, I was doing it for myself. I did it because there was that dream and there was a need. There was something I needed to fulfill. Music was always my main thing, but there was something else that called to me.
Right.
So I chose to explore it. For maybe about 2 or 3 years, I was just painting for myself, for my friends, give away pieces, put them in our rehearsal studio. Came a time that the crew was kind of like, why don't you sell a couple of these and we can pay the rent in here? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I was like, damn, you think somebody would buy it? And they were like, yeah, of course. So, yeah, then I went down to every gallery on Queen West, got shut down in every gallery in Queen West. They asked me about education. Did you go to OCAD? All of this. No, I'm just doing this in my basement, maybe come back in a couple of years. I had another mentor who's a fellow from Dominican Republic, David Vasquez, brilliant artist. He had a shop on Yonge Street, and I saw his shop one day, and I went in, and there was all these different styles of paintings. I thought it was like, I wanted to put my stuff in there. Then I realized they all had the same signature. It was all him.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this guy's doing this style, he's doing that style, he's doing my style, he's doing everything. And I had his card, and I called him, and he told me to come and show him my paintings. He was up in Yorkville in the alley. He was selling work out of this alley. And I went up after getting shut down. Same day I got shut down in Queen Street. I walked all the way up to Yorkville with a bag of maybe 4 paintings in my hand, and showed him, and he said, "This is brilliant." And my style is black and white.
Okay.
It's an old style called Chiaroscuro. People like I study like Caravaggio pretty deeply, but it's an old kind of style that's really based in light and shadow.
Okay.
So that's where I chose to go with it. So my black and whites were they stood out, and David saw it, and he told me, artists are lazy. If you really want to do this professionally, you have to do it every day. You have to show up. So he told me to come work for him that summer. Come sell paintings in that alley. He was like, you can paint here, you can sell mine and learn how to talk to people, learn how to sell your work, whatnot. I took him up on it as well. I consider him my second mentor when it comes to painting.
Who was your first one?
It's a fellow named Baba Cam. He's an elder of mine. I would say he's a teacher, a Kemet, ancient Kemet. Good friend of mine, but he's a fellow from Detroit he's an incredible illustrator. He actually illustrated a bunch of our band album covers.
Okay.
Yeah, before. I was still drawing stick figures, so I would draw like a raw, this is what I think. I give it to him, and then he'd bring it to life. So I knew when I started drawing again that, like, if I'm going to go to anybody with this, I should go to him.
Right.
Incredible illustrator. He wants nothing to do with the art industry.
Right. Yeah.
It's just he's pure about it. So that advancing me for 5 years and 6 months, that was from a pure place. And it landed that way for me. That's how I received it, and I just wanted to bring my vision to life.
So you're kind of representing him in the art industry now.
Indeed, yeah. He's proud of the accomplishments.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came out to my first solo show, and it was like maybe 3 years after we had started that journey, two and a half, 3, and man, that was a proud moment for me, to have my mentor out there.
And when did you started painting?
2005, I believe.
Oh,
yeah,
it's been a minute.
2005, and I did my first show 2008. Yeah, actually, I started trying to sell in 2008. Sold my first piece at that time.
Very cool. I need to look into this because I was there for one of your shows, remember? But
yeah, that's right.
I want to see more of that. So just to step back into the music, like you said, you started your music journey, but what did you start with?
Rapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember we talked about that one day.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I was a dancer. If I really go
I
back
remember
with
that
it,
too.
I was a dancer. That's right. We were talking about this.
Yeah.
I was a dancer, man, and bless up. my brethren catalog, man, family,
Mhm.
family. Myself and his brother, we had, we do routines. We
Mhm.
do routines for his group back then, and that's where it kind of started for me.
That was when, like 80s, 90s?
That's definitely gonna be the 80s. I want to say like an 88, 89.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Catalog was the first person I knew personally that rapped, and that's my cousin. That's family. So when I seen him rapping, I was like, oh shit, he sounds real. Like he sounds like the records, and the guys that are out there. So it kind of felt like, oh, he needs dancers, And his brother and I we would go to all the school dances and the neighborhood dances and such, and just shut shit down. We just had a style and we worked hard at it. So dancing was my first thing. My father built amps and speakers for years, worked for Yorkville Sound.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah, indeed. So he's an electrician, I've always had like pieces of amplifiers and soundboards and all these kind of things around the house.
Starts sounding like the story of Grandmaster Flash here.
He's Bajan too, so
Yeah.
Yeah, same countryman. I started putting this stuff together in my room, and I just created a little lab. I had microphones, I had a Technique cassette deck that you could record on both sides, on both, is that dual deck, right?
Okay.
And you could also play with the pitch. So what I started doing was I'd have like people like Catalog, my boy Slay, a couple of my friends, my boy Jomo from around the way. They would come over to my place, and I'd run like records or 12-inch, play the instrumentals and stuff, and then they would just create their own song over top of it. And I was really just recording them. I was like, maybe I'll DJ, maybe not, add some Gemini turntables. It's like maybe I'll get into it. I don't know, but I think I could record people. And I could hear how to do vocals, so I'd let them record, then I'd switch the tapes around and let them do a background vocal over top, which was something that, like, we weren't so used to back in the day. That cassette deck really changed it for me. I didn't have a 4-track or anything, so it was kind of impromptu.
So you were recording the instrumental on once and the vocals on the other one?
Yeah, we record the vocal and instrumental at once on one.
Right.
Then flip it, play, and on the playback, I'd record another vocal on top.
Okay.
So that they could do like their backgrounds and such, right? Or the hook or whatever. And I could keep doing that as well. You'd start to lose some of the quality, but we could make it sound like we went to the studio.
Right.
Yeah. So I started doing that. This is going to be early 90s, 91, 92, I want to say.
I'm curious how you train your ear, from like a complete noob to start hearing the different thing that make you understand that it was close to a professional sound. Like, hearing is tricky, man. Like to start hearing more in depth, the sound is a tricky thing. I don't know.
It's true. I think for myself, my father DJ'd. Him and his brother used to DJ.
There you go.
It's there. Yeah, it's there. My family in Antigua had quite a few musicians and poets and different things. And I just had an instinct. Like I was always inclined to records. So even like the physical vinyl, like I wanted to read the album covers. I would read all the album covers, So I wanted to know who produced it, who did the artwork, and what's an executive producer's job. And, I was very, very detailed from a young age, actually. So that kind of stuff just intrigued me. And then I would see, we had much music up here, right? Very minimal black shit, at the time. The like 80s, it was very minimal. You might get the Michael Jackson and Prince videos, But I remember when We Are the World came out, the Michael Jackson like collaboration with everybody. They had like a behind the scenes of it. The whole video was shot like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But then they showed on Much Music some like little part of like Quincy Jones talking, and you know, people like doing little scales in the background and such. And something it just caught me. I was like, you know what, man, like that looks amazing. You know, and I was like, I could do that. I like what Quincy's doing, you know, and I want to do that. And it just sat in the back of my head, you know, for a long time. But I was really into, especially rap. I'm probably around the same age as hip hop music, you know. It was like I watched all the progressions, and I knew what I liked. And around that time, early '90s, they were getting to a raw sound. So like Beat Miners, you know, RZA.
Exciting time.
Yeah. You know, it was a dope time, truly. You know, and the way we were dressed and like everything, and just your slang, you know, what you were reading, everything just went into one. And the way that the recording started to sound, it got far less polished than, you know, the 80s kind of stuff. You know, and I wanted to go there. I wanted to go right into that zone. So recording over people's stuff, it was like we were able to do that. Yeah.
Well, that's the raw element that hip hop brought, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I was gonna say Quincy Jones. That's a pretty big target to take as a model.
Definitely. He's the right one though.
That's the right.
He's the right one.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Like I really just learned about all the stuff he did. I had no idea. I watched this documentary on Netflix.
Right.
I had no idea. I know, you know, I heard Quincy Jones. I know he produced Michael Jackson's album, Thriller, and all that stuff. But I didn't know he was the conductor of Sinatra, for example. I had no idea.
Yeah. I didn't know either, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff I didn't know. I just knew like he was super polished, and I read Miles Davis's book. And he's speaking about Quincy Jones as a trumpeter.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this guy was a jazzman, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't do the deepest research, but from what I saw, I was like, this guy's from all the way back then, you know?
Well, I knew he was a trumpeter because I learned that in the movie Ray, right?
Oh, right, yes. Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah,
6'9"
that's
or
right.
something like that. Oh, it's like, maybe Ray is 6'9", I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I remember that at some point they're meeting in some concert and he's telling him that he's coming back from France. So I know he studied in France.
Right.
But then the documentary told me, you know, that where he was actually studying like classical music in France. I was like, what?
Yeah. Hey, a lot of the cats, man, went out to France.
Yeah.
You know?
Nina Simone, like
Yeah. James Baldwin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Miles Davis as well too. But you know, France is a place that's called to me as well, and that happened for me. I got to go to Paris in 2007. So it was right before I started selling my art.
Yeah, the underground scene is extremely curious there.
It was amazing for me, man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how big the city was, for one. And then, two, there's art everywhere.
Yeah.
Tops of buildings, like every corner, you know, there's just art everywhere. And I truly saw, like, you know, guys doing the caricatures and all of that. It really inspired me. I did my first actual acrylic paintings on that trip in Paris. I did 5 acrylic paintings. The first time I had the courage to actually pull the little paint set out and work with it. And I did 5 small pieces out there. I started. But yeah, France is inspiring to a lot of us North Americans. You know.
So basically, it's just to go back into your room where you're building your little studio.
Yeah.
So you were rapping and producing at the time for your group.
I was rapping, but I wasn't showing anybody that I was rapping.
Right.
I was recording rappers.
Okay.
I was writing my own raps and such, but I wasn't ready to show people. Then I started recording myself, so I could kind of hear my voice and hear how I sound, and you know how to move my words and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So from then, that's where. What was the next big steps, milestones on your journey?
For from there, I went to. I finished high school. I was actually got accepted to this college, this music college in Pennsylvania. But I was a teen dad and had a little girl to take care of.
Yeah.
And it just didn't feel right for me to take off at that time. So I ended up applying and getting into Trebas Institute here in Toronto, music college. So I went there. I was working with a guy. We called him. We had a gang of names for him actually.
You had a what? Sorry?
We had a gang of names for him. I'll call him Spencer. You'll know what I'm talking about. But I was working with him pretty closely. We had a group called Internal.
Okay.
And it was just a duo, him and myself. Started out like 5 people, but whittled down to the 2 of us. We were very serious. He had a keyboard, so he was doing production, and I was like, I'm gonna do music management. You know, so we got both bases covered. We'll be self-contained. So he actually got with the engineer at Trebas, his professor, who we gave some of our OSAP to, and he brought us down to the studio in the basement there. At that time, people like Socrates and Chaos, Citizen Cope, and different people were down there recording. So that was like who's being played on the radio, on college radio. These guys were a little bit ahead of us, so they were out there at least. So now we're in the same studio with them, him and I, and we just started recording some stuff. Professionally, I guess, at this point. We bought the 2-inch tape, you know what I mean? It's like $300 for the tape. You got like 2 hours or something on it. Absolutely not digital. And we started out a couple tunes or whatnot. It just didn't fizzle, like it just fizzled out, sorry. It just didn't work out in a way for us. So one summer, what I ended up doing was I had the crib and I just invited everybody over on Friday evenings, and we just have what we call track 30 sessions. It was just the same formulas in my room, except I had my own apartment now. So I was playing different people's tracks, like songs that were outcast and stuff, playing instrumentals, and whoever was in the house just rhyme on them. We were making the tracks dirtier. That was the idea. It was cipher, right? Yeah. So that was kind of the style. And myself and my partner at that time with Eternal, we were still making tunes, but I had like a couple of fellas like Slay, my cousin Beezy, my boy Glocks, you know, a couple of the guys that I knew from Malvern actually, and from school, and they were my cousin's peoples out here, so they would come over as well. We were all working together actually, we were all doing factory work. And then on Fridays we got off early, so we'd go get 40s. You know, we actually get the 40s. We get some liquor. Every man would get a 40, would get a bottle of liquor and a bottle of champagne. Every man. That's your own thing. And then we put in, go get like an ounce and a half or something. Blunts. We got pipes, some proper Sherlock Holmes type shit. And we would just go back to the crib, man, and you know what I'm saying, and just vibe to music. And you know, come a certain hour, I'm just gonna start running tracks, and the mic's up, you know, and then I'd record all of it too, right?
Sounds like a vibe.
Yeah, the Track 30 sessions, you know, and from that actually grew the group, the Track 30s, which became my group, and then we became a band, you know, years later. So that's 96.
Damn.
Yeah, this is summer of 96. To my crew, man, we never forget that one. You know, but it was a dope time for us.
So, when did you meet John?
Yeah, so the Track 30 has actually led us to connecting. So we started in 96. We took on the name of the sessions as our name, as our group. Way ahead of the time, nobody knew what the hell we were talking about. But the Track 30 ass, track 30 ass, track 30, like, no, the Track 30 is, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know, but we were doing that thing. So Slay and I we actually teamed up with another dude named Eclipse, and we were going to a studio in Rochester, because that's where Jodeci recorded their third record. And it wasn't too far from us here in Toronto. So Eclipse got the connect, and them guys were like, come on out, man. You know, we didn't have much money to pay them, especially being in the US. But they were like, bring Canadian beer, man. So we'd pile up the 2-4s in the back of the car, and we'd ride out. And they really, it was in the basement, which is the basement crew. If you really cite it, that's where like Missy and Timbaland, Devontae brought all of them together, Player, Static, brought all of them together to Rochester from Virginia and wherever else they were, Baltimore and such, and put them in this basement. That was where they were working when he was upstairs in the big room doing the Jodeci record.
Right.
Genuine and all of that. Yeah, so they actually were known as the basement crew. And we would start working in that same basement with guys that were engineering with them. So we ended up kind of, you know, maybe 1 degree of separation in a way. And we were working with a bunch of talented guys from Rochester, New York, actually, that all had deals. They were on MCA. You know, this person just got signed. Sylvia Rome's flying in to talk to this person. And we're like, shit. But they really liked our style, how gritty we were. You know, those kind of recordings that came from. They really liked our style, but they taught us how to record and how to produce, you know, in a particular way and kind of advance our ears. Slay really took to recording. I got an ASR 10 one year, and I made
you had a what?
ASR 10. It's like a keyboard sampler.
Okay.
It was a lot of like the producers back then were using them. I made like a couple beats 1 week.
Okay.
And my boy Slay was like, yo, you know, I got all these beats in my head, man. He's like, let me borrow it. You know, I was like, yeah, hold it for the weekend, man. By a Sunday evening, this guy played me some shit that blew my head off. I was like, oh, fuck, you keep it, bro. I was like, you keep it, man. You do that. So when we got to Rochester, you know, a couple years later, he was already fine-tuned. And they just really helped show us how to really get our songs together and how to be efficient in the studio, how to come in prepared and knock it out. And we did that in Rochester. The studio ended up moving to New Jersey. And we moved to Brooklyn. My Slay's cousin. You know, and pick up the fellas out there, man, the Martens crew. Bless those that we lost. You know, but they held us down out there. We would go down, go over to Jersey, record, go back to Brooklyn, chill. You know, and we just got so much love and vibes from everybody there, being the Canadian guys.
Yeah.
You know, that just had our own style. You know, we were like, it's going to happen. And then, you know, a couple things happened and we ended up losing all our equipment. And
really?
Yeah. Eclipse lost his father. So we came back to Toronto to let him take care of that, you know? And by the time we went back to Jersey about a month later, the studio was gone. I don't know what happened to those guys, man, up to this day. Never seen their name on records. We look. You know what I'm saying? Them guys, they disappeared. I have some ideas, but I wouldn't, you know, speak on that outside of the crew, you know? So, all our shit was gone. So we came back to Toronto with nothing, not even really our recordings, you know, to be honest. There's a lot of really good work that we did that we didn't have. And learned a lesson about trust and just about our own shit, you know, and about the way that the music game really is at times, you know, and how people are at times. So, out of necessity, I was like, one of my cousins, he had a guitar in his basement from back in the 80s. He had taken a couple lessons. Out of necessity, I was like, cuz, let me see that guitar, man. You know, I need to do something. You know, so he lent me the guitar. He actually gave it to me, and I figured out how to make sounds.
You guys were generous, eh? Giving the keyboard, giving the guitar, you know?
Well, this is fam. This is fam, yeah, you know, so we just, like I knew I couldn't do what Slay was doing with the ASR. He knew he wasn't going to do nothing with that guitar.
Yeah.
You know, it was collecting dust down there. So he threw it over, and my engineer was a guitarist. He wrote a couple chords out for me in from there, I just was like, what's in my head? I wanted to make shit that sounded like Hank Shockley and them, Bomb Squad, Public Enemy records. And I wanted to make shit that sounded like Wu-Tang, like those samples of Wu-Tang records. And I wanted to be able to play the way that those samples sound and play it live like that. So Slade didn't have the keyboard anymore, so I was like, brother, just jump on the drums, man. We'll figure it out. We've been making beats, man. And we went into the rehearsal space and just started doing that. Started figuring it out, you know. I had no clue what we were dealing with, but we made sounds that we liked. And invited our boys through and they would rap on it.
Yeah.
You know, and that led us to coming back out with the track 30 Years Now as a band. And, you know, we made some changes. You know, Eclipse wasn't really feeling that direction. He wanted to do his own thing, you know, so we brought in my boy Pete, my cousin Beezy, who was always there, you know, he just jumped back on the mic. My boy Mobster, who was our videographer kind of guy. It's like, you know, I used to do classical guitar when I was a kid. I was like, oh man, pick up a bass, bro. I was like, go get the bass, man. You know, we went down to Steve's Music and he grabbed the bass and he figured it out. The three of us just turned into a band.
So it turns more into like a roots kind of thing?
We were far harder than the Roots.
Yeah?
I'd say. We were like Nirvana skis. We were grunge, I would say, like more so than anything. And that's part of my influences too, you know, but I wanted the guitar to sound like Public Enemy, Wu-Tang. You know, Mobs has got to play, he plays with more of a soca, Trini edge. And Slade is like a beast. You know, Slade's just pounding, and he's got the hip hop beats, you know, so the way that the three of our styles connected, you know, I wouldn't compare it to any other band that was out. People would say the Roots because they were the only kind of other rap band that was around, you know, but they were just too vibesy for us. We were far more headbanging. Right. You know, we were trying to smash shit out. I was trying to blow amps out, you know. We would actually throw the guitars and shit. You know, the drum kit, we got busy, you know, and yeah, that was our steez. So, you know, pushing that forward, we ended up going out doing shows, doing a bunch of shows. There was no hip hop shows, so we were getting on punk rock bills. And, you know, we were in a scene of different punk groups that were, you know, into what we were doing, and took us on tours. You know, we started moving around. We played Afro punk, when it was just like a movie still. It was a movie. It wasn't really a festival or anything. They had a show at CMJ, I think it was.
Oh, you're talking about the Afro punk in New York?
Yeah, in New York, yeah. They invited us out, played a show in Manhattan, you know, with Afro punk. And this is very early Afro punk as well. But, you know, there wasn't much black people doing the vibe we were on up here. And the groups that were doing it just, you know, we were far too hard. And it was kind of like the industry knew about us and was a little hesitant, you know what I'm saying, to get with it. You know, our raps were hard. We were smashing. And to us, it wasn't nothing. That's what we felt. That was our vibe. You know, we weren't, and I didn't really want to sign with anybody that I wasn't cool with either.
Right.
You know, or that didn't get what we were doing. So, you know, we found the crowd that did, and we just moved that way. It was a lot of punk rock shows. Protest the Hero, man, I want to pick them guys up because, you know, they were some wild, mathematical metal guys, and they really looked out, man. They were like, we're taking you guys, we're doing a tour on Canada, we're taking you guys, man. They showed us the east coast of Canada. I would have never saw these places if it wasn't for these guys, man. When we came back now, we were a lot better. Now, we got a lot better in our instruments and at our sound. We made a record.
Of fire.
Yeah. We made a record called The Sun House. That we really just went to a crib on the sticks and vibed out and made music. Called it The Sun House, and we, you know, put this record together off of some of the demos that we did.
That's cool that you didn't like did everything just to sell your music and try to find the right crowd.
Yeah, we figured that out, and you know, I was always about the underdog. I always felt like the underdog out here, the one people know about, you know, and the so-called polished cats know about, but I'm too dirty for them to,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, to polish. That was my vibe about it, and we ended up touring and doing everything on our own terms, and it was amazing, you know, and I don't regret anything about the path that we took. Along that way, Afropunk, I was working out a deal with the management to bring Afropunk up here and do a bunch of shows. Now, based off of our touring history, I was cool with a bunch of booking agents and such. So I booked like 5 shows, and then I was just finding the talent. There was a group called Game Rebellion from Brooklyn that was like some heavy metal cats, man, some Brooklyn cats that were like, oh, we're bringing them up. We'll show the movie. It'll be track 30 as Game Rebellion, and then we'll just have someone open. And I tried to link up with all the alternative, so-called alternative black groups in the city. And everybody was just on some shit. Afropunk obviously wasn't as big as it is now then.
Yeah.
Because everybody was just on some, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'm not trying to convince nobody that's not sure about this shit. You know, because I'm playing and we probably won't make much money off this show. But I'm doing this for the city. You know, I'm doing this for like the black kind of movement of punk shit, you know, and rap shit, you know. So turns out I seen a article on this group, Gen Militia, that's out in Kitchener, with this black dude out front. Reached out to them on MySpace. They got back to say, yo, Fitz, what do you need, man? You know, let us know. This cat, Mike Danger. I was like, all right. You know, I've got these shows booked. He was like, we'll book one in Kitchener. So our 2 bands, we actually met in Montreal at the show in Montreal. We went up and did the sound check, and their whole band was just kind of watching. We came off and they were like, yo, and their band went up, and I was like, yo, we were just watching like, yo, and there was a kinship right away. And that was John Orpheus, man. That was his band, you know, at the time. And we did all the gigs. They were the only crew that made it. Afropunk themselves even fell off, you know, and they weren't really, it's just, communication wasn't right. And like I said, I didn't have time to wait for anybody from up here or from down there, you know, at the time. Kind of put a sour taste in my mouth, to be honest. But it also showed me, you know, because I learned some lessons in the game about trust and all of that kind of thing. Showed me like I'm not waiting on anybody. Gen Militia's ready to go. We got the shows booked. We're gonna go play the shows, you know, and turned into like an incredible friendship with J.O. and I, which turned into another band opportunity with the Hippie Mafia out in England when that happened, you know, and they needed a bassist, and they reached out to me, you know, on this recommendation. They checked out some of the Track 30 stuff online and reached out. I was like, I'm a guitarist, man. They were like, yeah, we know, but I want you to play bass. Just pick up a bass. You know? I was like, shit, that's the same thing I told Mobster. So, you know, I picked up the bass, and that led to, you know, some of the biggest shows I played in my career, man. You know, and it led to us opening up for Media out in England and touring the whole of England, you know, and really getting to be seen and heard. And we made an incredible record, 21st Century Commonwealth Soul, that took like a year out of our lives. It was back and forth from Manchester, England to Toronto, management in Montreal, management in London, England, a record deal in Australia. Shit, you know, it was worldwide. Our fucking meetings were Skype conversations that went nuts. You know what I'm saying? Accents all over the place, you know. Different slangs. We just had an incredible time, you know, with that group. J.O. and myself and Slay came out. He was part of the group. He wasn't on stage with us, but he was behind the scenes, you know, working hard for us. And it bonded us, definitely. So when that group kind of folded, then Slay, J.O. and myself started another group. You know, we got more into like a funk, blues, rock, soul kind of thing at that time, called Henry Lee Rawls. There's a couple videos we put together and made some real songs. And this time I've got an art career happening the whole time. When we're out in England, I got to do an art show out there.
As a art, like you're drawing, or
as a painter,
yeah. As a painter.
Yeah. I've been doing shows. I had a show in Spain, England. Came back, did some more stuff there. So it was just like that's kind of the way the music career unfolded for me.
I have so many questions. Just to step back on what you said earlier, because when you left, you lost all your equipment and all that stuff.
Yeah.
How was Toronto at the time, like with respect to helping artists, create their stuff, and help support for artists by the government and stuff?
Oh man, you know what? So we had this thing called Video Fact and Factor grants. I don't know if it's still in existence. They had grants in place. The issue with it was that they already kind of cherry picked the people that they were going to give these grants to.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. But like the industry itself, as far as the hip hop community and industry, I can only speak from my experience, and it was very real because I wasn't the only person in that. There was maybe like 10 artists that DJs would play in the city.
Right.
If you were a new artist coming through, you had to either be connected to these guys or be in their crew or hang out with them, or be like on the DJ every day. I did all the things, man. I showed up at 88.1. I showed up, with my cassette. I waited and my shit never got played. Then I waited again and then my shit got played, and
yeah.
I did all those pieces, and it wasn't just me. There would be a lineup of guys because hip hop was in all of us, at that time, especially when we were kind of birthed into it over here. It really brought, in Toronto, is a lot of us from the Caribbean community, so we hadn't really locked in. New York was where we got everything from, for the most part, and we were developing what our style would be, and how Toronto would sound. We were developing that, and in my opinion, the DJs and the so-called gatekeepers, the people that work their way into an urban music consultant position,
right?
They weren't consulting the actual, like the people that were on the ground. They weren't making space. Now there's a lot of space being made, and it's being made by the people, which I really dig. For me to book my first show, I booked a show at El Macambo with this promoter, Dan Burke. And I want to say it was probably 1997 or 8 or something like that. And when I hit him up, he was like, "Oh, hip hop, man, there's violence at those shows, man." It's like,
that's what I've heard from Toronto, that there's still till today like a lot of like ideas linked to that, and a lot of corporation they don't want to hear about hip hop.
They don't want to attach to it. Meanwhile, everywhere else in the world,
yeah,
is recognized like this is real.
Yeah. Well, they understand there's multiple branches anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And like I had to go down there physically. I made a phone call, like a cold call, but I went down there physically to convince this guy to book us. And he was talking to me about a show he booked, and some shit kicked off, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know those people, man. You know what I mean? It's a hip hop community, but I don't know those guys. I don't know their crowd. I know my crowd. I know who I'm bringing out. And he was like, I like you, man. I'll book you, man. And took the chance on me. We booked it. Had an incredible show. The bar did great. We took the door, did nice. And him and I shook hands. He was like, "Yeah, man, you're good with me. Whenever you need a show." And truly, that man held to that, man. Dan Burke, he's a legend up here, man. He held to that. Anytime I needed a show, booking, I just hit him up, man. And aside from that, I was just opening on other people's shows or getting on different bills, or was. But you had to create your own lane.
Mm-hmm.
The support wasn't there for hip hop artists.
So I have a question. Like, since you said that the DJs were the gatekeeper, how come the one of your crew started the DJ?
You know what? Like, I thought I was gonna DJ, to be honest. But I realized very early for me, I don't want to play what the crowd wants to hear. I want to play what I want to hear. You know what I'm saying? And that just wasn't popular. That wasn't, an inclusive kind of idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have just played my shit, like the records I found cool. And people nowadays, that's kind of a thing.
But I know, but you said that at the time it wasn't popular to, like, you didn't sign a deal.
Yeah.
With people that you didn't want to polish yourself, but you could have done that with DJ as well. Just play whatever you wanted and just keep the people who liked it.
Truly, I really could have when I look back at it now.
Right.
My mentality at the time was, for me to gain that popularity.
Right.
It was really just like my crew in my area, that knew what I was dealing with at the time. So really, I could have started that small. You know what I mean? And this is also, there's absolutely no social media.
Yeah.
Nobody's online, so it's really word of mouth. You're really hitting the ground and trying to reach people. I just couldn't be bothered. I was more focused on getting my raps together and producing what I thought was good content than DJing. But you're right, because if we did have a DJ in the crew, it would have made it easier for us to open some of those doors. And that's not to say our shit didn't get played. We ended up making it happen, but it was just by like consistency and finding the right people. Because even when we were doing those records out in Rochester and Jersey, and we come back here and play it, the shit sounded like, we're talking, this is in 1991 maybe. The shit sounded like 2001 to me. Our production shit was way ahead of the guys here. Yeah, we were just ahead of the game. And looking back at it, I know that and accept it now. At the time, I was like, what's wrong with everybody? But we were definitely producing on a different level.
So how did Toronto take it?
Toronto, the punk community and such, like the alternative cats took it. The hip hop community, certain people got with it. But I at that point in time, I didn't even really care about Toronto, to be honest. The cats in Brooklyn got it. The guys in Rochester got it. They were taking us out to when they did showcases and different things.
So it's really still the same thing, eh? That you needed to get out of Toronto to
which is
make a name before.
It's so frustrating, man. Because we got a great city here, and we got a lot of talent here. And now I'm starting to see that respect for each other, and people coming out to shows. I'm seeing people like, definitely Drake and them, the Weeknd and such. Like, guys are playing the ACC. That was unheard of, in our times. That would happen, and who would make that happen, But even for them, those pieces wouldn't have happened without getting out of the city. Had Drake stayed here, would it still be what it is for him? I doubt it. I doubt it. But then that's not to take away from him. Maybe so, but the city itself doesn't have the infrastructure to support him like that.
What do you think it is?
When you get people in positions of power, in particular in the record industry, whoever they're answering to, and whoever has this assumed power to say, okay, I can sign this group, I'm an A&R now, or, I am the urban music consultant. And to be honest, in '96, I did a placement at Polygram, working with the urban music consultant at that time. In Island, Def Jam, and some of these things were some of the labels, some of the stuff we were promoting. And I had people come to me at that time and say, this guy Horace Brown was putting out a song. And on the sticker it said, his brand new joint, whatever. And there was like a meeting happening, and people came to me saying, I'm not even the intern, I'm like the co-op student. Came to me like, Dion, new joint. Does that mean drugs? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, you guys have no clue. No clue, you know? And Horace Brown, he's like a one-hit wonder. He didn't really last long. You know, you guys should have been advanced. There should have been somebody in a position of power that knew that that should never even be a question at that time, even. And I don't think much has changed in the industry here. But I've always done it my way. So I've really disconnected from whoever was out there. I knew a few people, and I thought some of them were cool. You know, but for the most part, they were not ready to break ground. They weren't ready to break shit. And not even just my band. You know, there was other artists that were out. You know, but whenever there was, you know, like a battle or an outdoor cipher or something like this, it's just the same people coming through. And I don't really care what you tell me, especially at that time. You know, I was younger and much more hot-headed. I don't really care what you tell me. There's always, if you've got 10 people you know, and 20 people are in the space, there's always at least one other person that you can connect with.
Yeah.
You know, that has a similar story or something that you find interesting. There's always at least one. And it was just like people just bogarting the whole thing and not allowing for that, even that other one to come in that's raw, that they don't know anything about them, that's new, it's a mystery. You know, I think people that are really into that job, those jobs of, you know, finding talent, developing talent, you're looking for that. You know, as a painter, I work with young people outside of this. You know, I work with the homeless community. I work with young people quite, you know, intensely actually, and I enjoy finding painters, and I have a collection of art from young people that have been on the street or have been dealing with drug issues in their lives, and I collect their art, and it's been a pleasure of mine to find people that, you know, we have absolutely nothing in common, but I absolutely can see that they're an artist in their heart, and through me they see, oh, this guy's done it. Yo, you've done shows before, you know, you sell your work and whatnot. I can answer some questions for them, I can help mentor. Someone did it for me, you know. I enjoy that, and I think that there's a lot of greedy people in the city that got into these positions and they didn't enjoy that.
That's what it is.
Yeah, you know, and that part of it in your soul, you know, they stunted this shit. They could have made it great. A lot of them stunted this shit, man. You know, and they got to live with that now because, you know, a lot of them are either looking for jobs or, you know, they're doing a bullshit job that they're not happy with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas their counterparts in New York, or wherever, you know, their counterparts around the world, you know, are actually living it and enjoying it, you know, and not having to. They started their own consultant agencies or, you know, their own record labels, or, you know, they took from the industry and said, oh, I'm gonna open doors for these people, you know, and did shit like that. I just find like there isn't really one of them from that time in Toronto that's created a record label or a record legacy, and you could do the math with that one, man. Anybody that was any of them consultants, anything, you could do the math. See who's got a record label that's successful, or a record business or whatever that's successful, you know, and that's out there. It is what it is, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But for that question about why is that you need to get out of the city to actually make it. I like that analogy of the cinema today, where people actually, well, you know, TV shows, they're gonna make a killer show whenever they base the screenplay on a book.
Yeah.
But when they need to write it themselves, it's another story. So
Yes,
it comes
yes.
down to marketing, you know,
Yes.
like if you have this artist coming out and made it in another city, it's way easier to make it work in Toronto than if you need to build it yourself. It's a lot more work.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you gotta enjoy the process.
Yeah, that people don't like the struggle. They don't appreciate the struggle.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, it's like I didn't know. You know, I can look back on a 20-something year career in my life at this point, both in music and in art. The things I wanted to do, I did them. You know, and I did them because I was passionate about that process. I was passionate about switching those two. I got a cassette deck, I could switch it, you know. I was passionate about that.
The struggle of learning.
Yeah, yeah. You know, the failures, the recording my own voice and being, oh shit, man, I gotta, you know?
Yeah.
Like all of that kind of stuff, man. If you don't enjoy that, it shows. You know, and it'll be short-lived for you if it all comes to you. And that shows as well. You know, because there's vets out there, people I got a lot of respect for. I got respect for Maestro Fresh West because he was the first rapper I seen from Toronto that was out there. Michi Me doesn't get the respect I think she deserves from this city.
I don't know that person.
Michi Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should check her out, man. She's
yeah, make the plug.
female
man.
MC. Female MC,
Make
man.
the plug, I'm very curious. I'm open.
Yeah. Female MC from Toronto, man. Jamaican background. She was doing like, you know, she was mixing the two together.
The
Like,
two.
as far as like mixing reggae, you know, and hip hop.
Mhm.
This is in like 87, 88 kind of thing. She was also pretty big in New York. She was just like, you know, she was fly, man. She had the style. She was right there with MC Light, man. You know, but she was from Toronto. She was one of ours. And how she hit the mic, she's still out there, you know. She actually started her own alternative group called Ragged Death. That was like, she went metal as well with it, you know. And she kept her same steez. You know.
That's the thing, like the underground versus industry. I feel like today, in electronic industry, for example, there's a lot more open-minded mentality than hip hop necessarily. Like hip hop, like when you go to Europe, there's a lot. Like in my country, there's a really open-minded community with respect to rap. I don't know. I'm not sure if I can say that 100% because a lot of people are very hip hop Nazi there. They don't want to hear anything about the new stuff. All about the old school. About if you create a new beat, it has to sound like the old school, otherwise it's not hip hop.
Right.
And you can hear that in Montreal too.
Yes, very much.
Very
much.
yeah. They're very upset by that. Like you can't have anything new in it, otherwise it's not. Which I don't really agree.
I agree with you. It's everything. Lauryn Hill said, if something's not growing, it's dead.
Yeah.
You know? I'm a hip hop purist with that too. I really do enjoy, you know, those boom bap times. I enjoy the records that came out the early '90s. But I'm not stuck to that, you know, because I made music as well, and I wrote raps, and you know, I was always pushing myself, and I would hear somebody else, and they would push me. And I think that's the nature of hip hop. It's that competitive thing. It's that thing where you hear something now, it's like, where can I take it to? You know, and okay, I did this one. How can I get it? How do I get to the next level?
I have a complicated question for you.
Yeah. I like complicated questions. I'll have a complicated answer.
So you know that's my personal study about Canadian society. By opposition to my culture, which is like French culture, Canadian culture is closer to the English one, where it's more about avoiding conflicts, validation, you know, not creating useless debates, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I find that, do you think that when you're an artist, you need to be stubborn on something? Or where do you draw the line of, okay, like I need to listen to that feedback, but I still need to follow what I think it's the path I should you know take.
As an artist, man, I think that your instinct is like your treasure, man. You have something that speaks to you. And not everybody that says they're an artist is an artist.
Yeah.
And that's part of some of the issue, that you see. There's people they're crafty, they can put something together, they can figure it out and do it. But that thing about being an artist is deep down. And most of the time, it will be a stubborn place.
Yeah.
Because you have a vision. And that doesn't mean your vision is going to be popular. It's going to attract people, but you have a vision. And for you to be able to breathe, for you to be able to live with yourself, you have to see that to fruition, Now there's certain people that, would argue, let's say that it takes the people around you, it takes your kind of sounding board that helped you shape that, and your experiences to help you shape that same thing. I think that I'm probably a pretty stubborn artist, but I'm open. I listen to things from people that I'm inspired by. Almost everybody I meet, and I work with the homeless, as well. Like I said, I'm greatly inspired by people's stories and journeys, and whether I can relate to them or not, because I think that it will influence me in some kind of way. It's not going to be an outward thing, but it influences me to even just think about myself as a person, think about myself as a father, as a brother, as a friend. What are the things that I have to offer? And when I relate that to my art, if I can be happy with who I am in society, then I can be completely free with my art. People's input doesn't really need to bother me at all. I take what I need. Somebody can be talking about this painting that they're looking at. Oh, maybe if you use the color. A lot of people say that one to me because I do black and white mainly. What would really make this pop, man, if you put like a little bit of red right there, And I'm like, for one, I have my own artistic education. I've already studied who does black and white. And most people do put that little bit of red in there because the eye is just like wants to gravitate towards it, as opposed to I want you to look at the composition. I want you to feel those black spaces and the way I'm using negative space and the way that I'm occupying certain spaces. I've already thought that through. So when I hear that, I'm kind of like, I've already thought that one through. It's not me being an asshole or being, negative, because there may be a day that I'm painting something and I do want to put that little splash in it. You know what I mean? So it's informing me, but I take what I need. I may get more out of what you're wearing when you're telling me that than actually what you're telling me. So I think artists, man, you have to be stubborn about it, because if you do listen to people, you have to expect your output to change, and that could be for the better or the worse. But it's how are you going to live with it at the end of the day?
What do you think is the motivation for those people to give those advices and then call you stubborn when you don't listen?
It's sometimes it's truly like it's truly coming from a good place. Sometimes, I think for a lot of people, though, living as an artist it's not an easy thing. And for most people, they don't understand how in this day and time someone could live as an artist. And their critiques are based on things in their life.
Yeah.
And, things that have informed them more so than based on the piece of art that you're presenting. I find that to be true quite a bit of the time. So that's why I don't take none of it personal. And it's why I'm able to take what I can from the interaction outside of what they're sharing. I think a lot of times the motivation is just kind of selfish.
And what do you think of artists that can't take feedback and like get irritated and agitated.
Yeah, I think, I think, and I can understand because I was one of those artists,
Yeah.
you know. That's that piece about, you know, being at one with everything else in your life, putting all of that together, because that's why you get irritated and agitated, because you're actually putting energy into that person's opinion. You know, if you're really solid about what you're doing, you know what you're supposed to be doing, and someone's opinion shouldn't really take that much from you. You know?
Right.
So my advice to them would just be like, listen, you know, but choose what you feel. You don't need to feel everything somebody says. People can say anything they want. I have a painting called "For Anything Could Be Spoken." You know, and it was partially my reminder, you know, that's just part of it. It's part of life. Anything could be spoken, you know. But what I feel is what I choose to feel. I grew up in Toronto. I was also raised in Antigua and Barbados, and in Antigua and Barbados, I was one of the people. The prime minister looked like me, the bus driver looked like me, the teachers looked like me. In Canada, I was a minority. You know, none of those people really looked like me. You know, and nor did I necessarily have an opportunity to be any of those people either in Canada. In school, I was called a nigger quite a bit. This is, you know, going back to the 80s in Toronto. I was one of very few Caribbean people, you know, in that school. It wasn't a big support. I fought a lot. My mother is she was very much into black power and blackness and affirmation. So I felt strong in myself. And with that said, like, I got into a lot of fights around this. And a lot of people called me nigger and all of this shit. And then you know, over time, it lessened and lessened, because those people that were calling me that didn't look at themselves as a king, the way that my mom looked at me, the way that I looked at myself. They didn't see themselves that way, you know. They didn't have that. So they needed to put something else out on me to give them that. It's the same kind of thing with art quite a bit of the time. You know, so I don't really take those things on unless I need to speak to it. If I feel somebody said something that was like, you're either completely missing the point and misinforming people about me or about my work, then I'll address you. But if it's just your opinion, it's whatever. If anything can be spoken.
It's all about remembering what point are you trying to make with this.
Yeah. That's why I say not everyone's an artist. A lot of people are out here, they're doing art, but they're not an artist. And it takes a while. If you're an artist, it takes a while for you to even come to terms with that in yourself. You know, I was already selling paintings before I could even get used to people referring to me as an artist. You know, as a musician, you know, it took time. I had to, because I was writing bios, I was managing the band too, it took time. I had to like refer to myself as an artist, you know? But I realized like, this is what we're doing. We're doing arts, man, you know? And in doing it, like, I know the place I'm coming from with it. And that's why I can hold that title within myself. Because I know in whatever form that I want, the art of making wine, you know, the art of creating a painting, creating a logo, you know, creating a piece of clothing. Not only do I just want like to put my stamp on it, I want to be able to stitch it. You know? I want to know every piece of it, and then I want to take my own turn on it. That kind of thing, man, it's not in everybody. There's a lot of people that can play Jimi Hendrix shit tight. They ain't Jimmy.
Yeah.
They couldn't write Jimmy's songs. So you can do the art well, but that thing, you know, that thing that you would live and die for, It's in very few. It's in those ones that actually really stand out most of the time.
That's heavy right now. Let's just before we finish, I wanted to step back on the old wine and cigar thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, tell me more about this. Like, so yeah, you told me. All right, just forget what you told me.
Okay.
Let's go back to this.
Yeah. So I'm kind of my brand up until about maybe 2015 or so. I was really going heavy. I was out there. I was doing live painting. I was all over Twitter and social media and all of this. And I hit a point where I was like, you know what? I need to step back, because I had done art, like I was sharing with you, from about 2005. I was still in the band and whatnot. I was doing it till 2008 for myself. From 2008 to about 2015 or so, I was hustling. You know, I was just at everything. I was showing up. If you asked me to paint a picture of, you know, fucking Winnie the Pooh, you know, I'm gonna do it. You know, and get the money. And like I just wanted to make it happen. I put my brand together. I did all the work that was necessary for me to sustain it. And I hit this space where I was like, why am I doing fucking Winnie the Pooh right now? You know what I'm saying? When I started this shit, I was trying to please myself. I need to get back to that. So I pulled far back. I dipped out to Antigua for about 6 months. I left all my stuff up here. I took a guitar and a sketchbook, and didn't even do much of either of those, man, to be honest. I swam in the sea, you know, and I got myself back. When I returned, I went back to that 3-year period of painting and such for myself. And I'm about to come out of that period now. So, you know, during that time, you know, I have a client base, so I've been doing commissions and things on the low. I did that art show, you know, that you were at there. Things for my friends, my family, my clients. I've looked out, and I realized that a lot of people, you see me on, I've cut off most of my social media, only on Instagram. And you'll see me on Instagram and you realize that I enjoy my cigars. You know, I have a nice collection. And it's probably the only thing I nerd out about. You know, guitars, I'm like, whatever, I'll play it. You know, paint brushes, like I'll use it. You know, my cigars, I'm kind of like, you know. You realize I'm into cigars, and those that know me as well know I like my red wines and such too. So I figured I should do more about this, and I wanted to be able to have something to complement the work I'm doing. So I'm releasing a new set of clothing, Roses in B flat. It's based on some paintings that I have, a collection of paintings, and actually the first painting that I ever sold is from that collection. So I'm revisioning it as wearable art under my brand, in clothing. So that's now up on my website. I've redone my website, and you know, I'm now getting back into, you know, that 2007, 2008 period where I came out and started doing shows. Feels like 2020 is that time for me, you know. So I wanted to do something to complement where I've been at, the time I've taken off, the cigars that I enjoy, the wine that I enjoy. I want to share those things with my collectors and my friends and family. So I invested time into, you know, the behind the scenes processes and those that are professional in those things. You know, and I asked a lot of questions, and I started working, you know, with different blends, and how do I figure this out? What's this profile? You know, how do I make this happen? And yeah, with some professional help, I've been able to create a set of wines, and there's more coming, and cigars. So right now I've got stuff aging. You know, so 2020, you know, it'll be a nice one. Yeah.
I'll talk more about this. I'm interested. But listen, man, thank you so much for coming. I wanted to go more and more, but
yes.
we can talk after. But thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Real pleasure.
Man.
And yeah, I want to do some more stuff with you, man.
Definite, man. Look,
All right.
it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on this. And I'm real excited about this platform for you, man. You know, I think that, you know, we met, I don't know, was it a
House
couple years
Orpheus,
ago?
yeah.
House Orpheus, yeah. And it was cool. I picked you up actually to get
Yeah.
to the gig, you know. So I like the way you created this platform, and I'm honored to be on this side of the ride with you this time. You know what I
Definitely, really happy about this.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah. All right.